I said, I don't want you smiling when we go out. John was barking at Wolfie. Wolfie told me they had just returned from a wonderful day out. Wolfie said she had tried keeping a straight face throughout the event. She only smiled at John, which was unlike her. Her normal self would have had her smile plastered on her face, smiling at everyone including the security, cleaners, sales attendants, but all these she tried to avoid. But she had an exception. She couldn't help but smile at him. Who was him? I smiled at a beggar, an old beggar on the street. That smile was to give him hope. I couldn't give him money, but I could give him a smile. Wolfie, I would have preferred you gave him money. I wouldn't care if you gave him my entire money, but not your smile, he said, very frustrated. This is not going to work. I am getting out of this thing we are calling a marriage. I am done. You said what? John asked Wolfie. Wolfie was at my place narrating what happened at her place earlier that day. Although the day before was the day she narrated the whole story about the pastor who had match-made her with John. After narrating her how we met tale, I had passionately told her the foundation of her marriage was wrong and based on falsehood. Out of insane passion and irritation for her husband, called John, who was against his wife smiling, I had told her, if she wanted out of the marriage, God was not going to be angry with her. Here she was less than 24 hours, telling me about her outing with her husband. Seriously, I was mad, and the marriage counselor in me went on vacation, but the woman in me and feminist spirit I never knew existed in me shouted. This marriage was never God's idea, and I have a feeling the perfect will of God for you in marriage is still out there. You are below 30 for Christ's sake, I said with passion, but you would not believe that Wolfie literally shut me up by making excuses for her husband. Auntie, you know what? His countenance changed when I told him I wanted out of the marriage. I was afraid he was going to hit me. I started moving backwards, but what he did next is still baffling me, Auntie, and that's why I came to see you. He started talking like a baby, with tears flowing from his eyes. He moved so close to me like he wanted to swallow me up. He said, Wolfie, you can't leave me. You are the first real thing I have had to myself, and I never want to lose you to anyone. You are my first real possession. Possession? I'm not a piece of asset. I'm a human being that has a life of her own. No. Wolfie baby, I don't mean it that way. What I mean is, I never had anyone growing up. I'm not a beast asking you to stop smiling for no good reason. The thing is, I don't want to lose you to someone else. I told you that I was raised in an orphanage from birth. I never knew my mother or father. I was picked from the street, in an abandoned vehicle. I know that, and I have promised you I will be your family, Wolfie said. Wolfie, please just hear me out. I never had anything that was mine. I always had to share things with my orphanage brothers and sisters. All the clothes I ever wore was either passed on to me or brought by well-wishers. I never had anything I could tag mine. I grew up using what others had used school bags, borrowed textbooks, even till I got into tertiary institution. Everything I ever used was borrowed. I lived off my friends. I slept on the floor of my friend's room. All the textbooks I used were always borrowed. Aside from my house and car, you are the first thing I can call mine, or better still, first possession I have. I'm sorry, I'm using the word possession, but that's how I feel. Wolfie, please, what I am asking from you is little. You asked me to stop getting drunk after marriage, and because of you, I stopped. Tell me something else you want from me, and I promise to give you. Please just keep your smile for me, just me alone. Trust me, trust that I will never leave you. Wolfie said, I trust you so much, but I don't trust other people with you. They may take you from me, Auntie. John hugged me like a baby that didn't want to lose his precious possession, and at that moment, I was touched. I saw a boy who has never had anyone, and now he has one special to his heart he was not ready to lose. Auntie, what do you suggest I do? Please, if you are the marriage counselor and you are in my shoes, what would be your best advice to Wolfie? Like seriously. Speechless, agitated, mad, going bonkers, terribly infuriated are some of the words to describe what I felt when I saw Wolfie after 2 weeks of complete silence and disappearance. I had tried her number several times, but her line was unavailable, and neither did she call for 2 weeks. My security man had told me I had a strange visitor and he wanted me to come see her first before he could allow her come in. Matthew, our security man, was a very security-conscious person. He was so security-conscious that at times, when my husband and I were driving in, he would make sure he checked if we were bringing in strangers, and if we had strangers, he would ask the strangers to get down to be checked and screened. Although I found it strange, but my husband was fine with it. Therefore, for Matthew to have tagged this person, a strange visitor, something must definitely be wrong. When I got out of the house, I saw a lady figure dressed in a beautiful pink gown, but what was strange about her was that she had a black and grey covering like the Muslim purdah on her head that covered everywhere. The only thing visible was her eyes. The eyes looked familiar. "Good afternoon, Ma. Please, can I help you?" I asked, moving close in caution. The lady in question burst into outrageous laughter and unveiled herself to be Wolfie. I literally wet my pants. "Wolfie, what do you mean you are doing this to keep your marriage? This is wrong. And besides, are you denying your Christian faith to become a Muslim by dressing like one of them to keep your marriage? This is wrong. I mean, dressing like a Muslim is wrong when you are not one. Assuming John is a Muslim, it would have been understandable," I said.
"Auntie, I know wrong can never give birth to right, but I am trying to be the right person in my marriage. 2 wrongs can never make a right. Now I realize John is selfish, uncompromising, and not a Christian I thought he was, but do you expect me, Ma, to also do what is wrong by running out of the marriage? No. I am going to be right, and I know right gives birth to right, and may I add, my dressing this way has nothing to do with my religion. I don't think there is anywhere in the Bible where you are told you can't dress this way. It is a choice I have made. Let's think about this. What if I had a massive scar on my face, and I decided to do this? Would you have frowned at it?" Wolfie said with all seriousness. It was obvious wherever she must have gone for those 2 weeks had done a lot of mindset restructuring. "I guess this is John's idea?" Asking just for confirmation's sake. "No, 100% me. John is yet to see me. He went on a work trip to set up a studio in Abakaliki. Auntie, I had 2 weeks of reflection to myself, and this is what I came up with: a self-denial that will give birth to love." I was speechless, but I asked a simple question after a long break. "So you are ready to sacrifice your smile for your marriage?" Love is sacrifice. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Auntie, God let go of his only Son to gain the whole world. Auntie, I have a plan. Wolfie, what plan? Your smile is a message to people. Your smile heals a lot of people. I don't want to heal a lot of people. I want to heal my husband. Of what value is my ministry of smile to the world if my smile doesn't win my husband? For instance, Auntie, take a look at you and your husband. You know it will be a great failure if after repairing other people's marriages with your powerful marriage ministry and we suddenly hear your marriage failed. Of what value was your message? At that point, Wolfie had hit me on a sore spot. My husband and I were having it rough in marriage. We were not fighting in the sense of physical abuse or emotional, we were just drawn apart. We had not had intercourse for over 9 months and none of us bothered. And yet I go around preaching about how compulsory it was to have intercourse in marriage. The truth is I hardly have time for it myself because of how busy I had been, jumping from one state to the other preaching to women on them keeping their homes at all cost. But was I keeping my home? And besides, Auntie, who says I am sacrificing my smile? Behind this veil, I smile a lot without people seeing. Auntie, let me use my smile alone for my husband to pull him out of the valley of the feeling of being unloved, abandoned and not cherished. Auntie, Noah saved his family, even though he couldn't save the world. I will keep my smile for my husband alone if that will help me secure a good place in his heart, which will further help me to achieve what I want to achieve with him. So you mean you are planning to wear this veil all your life to make your husband happy? Yes, if I have to, but I assure you, something good is coming out of this, Wolfie said as she smiled under the veil. But how did I know she smiled? Since she was wearing the thick veil. I saw it in her eyes were shining, I saw the joy in her eyes even though I couldn't see her mouth. As a marriage counselor of over 15 years, I had never seen a wife who saw her marriage as more important than her purpose even though it was built on a wrong foundation. But Wolfie did, because she realized something I didn't realize on time, that was tearing my own marriage apart. After Wolfie left my home, I was not the same again. Heavy guilt poured on me. I sat down to evaluate my life and marriage. If my husband backslided and was no more as spiritual as he was, can I be like Wolfie? Can I drop all my ministerial engagements and responsibilities to make sure he gets back on his feet? Let's find out in the next episode. Like, share, comment and subscribe.